Beruchim Habayim, ladies. We are studying today an introduction to the book of Bereshit. This past Shabbat, we started reading a new sefer, the first sefer of the Torah, Sefer Bereshit, Parashat Bereshit. Although many people think that the Parashat Bereshit is from the easier Parashiyot, I want you to know that our rabbis have said that Parashat Bereshit undoubtedly is probably the most difficult of the Parashiyot of our Torah. We learned Parashat Bereshit when we were in second grade. That's the first Parashat they taught us. So we say, it must be the easiest Parashat. That's why they teach it to us when we're kids. But in truth, many of the commentators, including the Ramban, surrendered to the depth of the Parashah. How are we supposed to understand the creation of the world? How are we supposed to understand the sin of Adam and Chava eating from the tree? Or Cain killing his brother Hevel? These are so complicated and complex and deep that a lot of the great Mefarshei Torah commentators, they became humbled in front of this Parashah. And one commentator said, he doesn't even know why the Torah wrote Parashat Bereshit. Because it's so beyond us, so what are you writing it for? We can't understand it anyway, so therefore start from Parashat Noah. Our Torah begins with the letter Bet, Bereshit. And one of the Mefarshim explained the significance of starting with the letter Bet, the second letter of the alphabet. You know, God could have made it, that the Torah starts with an Aleph. So they explain like this: right at the beginning of the Torah wants to tell us an important rule in how to learn Bible, and how to learn the Tanakh. We have two Torot. If I were to ask you this question, how many Torahs do we have? You'd say, what do you mean, Rabbi? What kind of question? One God, one Torah? It's not a trick. He says, no. There's two Torahs. This is fundamental. Every Jew must know this. We have the written law, that's the Torah Shebechtav. And then we have the oral law. That's called Torah Shebe'al Peh. And you cannot learn the written law unless you read the oral law to explain it. Every pasuk in the Torah has an interpretation. That interpretation comes from either the Mishnah, or the Gemara, or the Midrash, or the Zohar. All that is called Torah Shebe'al Peh. It came down with the written book. When the written book has a second part to it. It has a whole volume of books that were written for the sole purpose to interpret the written law. Without the Torah Shebe'al Peh, our Bible makes no sense. You cannot understand even the most basic of Pesukim without Torah Shebe'al Peh. I'll give you one simple example. Recently on the holiday, all the men came to synagogue with an etrog in their hand. Why did everybody choose an etrog? Where did they get an etrog from? If you look in the entire Torah from cover to cover, it does not say the word etrog. The whole Bible, etrog is not mentioned even once. That every single Jew throughout the world takes an etrog. It might come from Yemen, or Italy, or Israel, or Morocco, but it's the same species, it's the same etrog. The Torah tells us on the holiday of Sukkot, for 7 days, take a peri etz hadar, take a fruit from a tree that is pretty. That's very vague. There's some beautiful apples. Maybe somebody wants to take an avocado. Or maybe somebody wants to take an exotic fruit. How can we take etrog? Because the Talmud tells us when the pasuk says peri etz hadar, it means an etrog. Without that commentary, our Torah is a sealed, closed book that has no meaning, that has no interpretation. It's like written in Morse code, our Torah. You need someone to decipher what the words mean. The Talmud is responsible For us taking an etrog. That's the source. Now you can have some guy that says, I don't read Talmud, I just go with the book. I want to know what it says in the book. You have people like that. They just want to, I go with the Pisukim. Okay, Zakamaru, go with the Pisukim. Piri et Sadar, what are you going to take? So the guy's going to come to shul with a passion fruit. Everybody has an etrog, and this guy has a passion fruit, checking his lulav. Why? Because he doesn't want to use the Talmud. The Gemara says, when the Torah tells the men every morning that they must place a box between their eyes, that's tefillin. The pasuk says, "Tutafot ben einecha." You must place a box between your eyes. If you ever went to synagogue, ladies, in the morning and saw the men pray, you'll never see a man that has a box between his eyes. Where do the men put the tefillin? At their hairline. Yes, it's centered between their eyes, but it's not between their eyes. What are you talking about? The Torah says, Ben Einecha. Even a second grader knows how to interpret the Hebrew. Ben Einecha means between your eyes. So why doesn't anybody wear the tefillin between their eyes? Because the Gemara comes along and says that's not what the pasuk means. Yeah, but that's what it says. Yeah, but that's not what it means. The tradition is, Ben Einecha means at the hairline, centered between the eyes. So you see now, ladies, you can have a pasuk telling you one thing, and the Gemara telling you it means the exact opposite. Therefore, if you don't learn the Bible with the Talmud's interpretations, you'll come out with a distorted, convoluted, demented interpretation. It has no relation to the Torah of God. And maybe that's why the Torah starts with the letter Bet. Bet is two. The Torah is telling you right from the beginning, learn this book with its counterpart. Learn this book with the second Torah. Then you'll understand it. But don't learn this book alone. This book is not solo. There's a couple. It's Torah Shebichtav and Torah Sheba'al Peh. Hence the first letter, Bet of Bereshit, is giving you the grounds. Don't study it alone. Now ladies, just like we cannot study the laws of the Torah unless we learn the Talmud, we cannot study the stories of the Torah either without the insights of the Hakamim. Just like we don't know what an etrog is without the rabbis, and we don't know what tefillin is without the rabbis and how to wear it, so too when we read the story, for example, of Adam and Eve, and what they did, and their sin, and we read the story of Cain killing Hevel, and you read the story of the brothers, they were jealous of each other, they were jealous of Yosef. Those stories also must be learned through the eyeglasses of the rabbis of Talmud. We cannot learn it through our own interpretation or opinion. Which means somebody might read the story of Joseph and the brothers, and he sees how the brothers were jealous of him, and there was a little acrimony. So you might say to yourself, yeah, okay, I understand this. This happens with my children also. They fight with each other. They're jealous. There's a little envy. Yeah, okay, makes sense. There is no connection between our lives and the lives of the great men that the Torah talks about. And therefore we cannot superimpose our weaknesses on them. They were from a different generation. They were from a holy generation. And our tradition tells us that the earlier the generations, the more spiritual they were. When it comes to spirituality, we have a digression. The rabbis of 100 years ago were smaller than the rabbis of today. And the rabbis of 200 years ago were greater than them. As you go back, there was greater spirituality. For example, today we have no prophets. The greatest rabbi in the world is not a prophet. We haven't had a prophet in our people for 2,000 years. Since the destruction of the temple, there hasn't been a prophet. That means the greatest rabbi, Rabbi Akiva, or one of the greatest rabbis, Rabbi Meir. Great, they wrote the books, they gave us the interpretations. They were not prophets. Adam HaRishon was a prophet. Who was greater, Adam HaRishon or Rabbi Akiva? Adam was a prophet. He was a Navi. You know what type of level you have to be on to be a prophet that needs to directly communicate with God? God doesn't talk to anybody. You have to earn it. You have to be on a certain spiritual level. Noah, for example, was a prophet. David HaMelech was a prophet. Rabbi Akiva was not a prophet. So as you go back in the generations, the greater level and magnitude that the people have. And therefore when the Torah tells us about their sins and about their mistakes, you can't learn it through your eyes, because we're reading as if it happened to us. You must read it through the eyes of great people who can interpret the sins of great people. So you need the rabbis of the Talmud to tell you, I know it says this, but it doesn't mean that. It really means something else. Hence the Torah is really, it's like written in shorthand. It's like a secretary that her boss is dictating notes for a half hour to her. And after a half hour of dictation, she has a half a page of notes. So the boss says, I'm dictating for a half hour. That's all you have? She says, no, this is shorthand. I'm able to read this, and from this half a paragraph I can make 10 pages. Or like a prescription that a doctor might prescribe. He scribbles a few words on a piece of paper, but the pharmacist understands the whole prescription from this. What type of medicine, how often, what's the dosage. The Torah is the same thing as like a prescription. It's written very quickly. The Talmud elaborates and gives us the depth of all these episodes. Hence, you can't read the Torah literally. Now somebody thinks they'll get an English Bible and they'll read, Vayomer Hashem, Hashem said, and Moshe, to Moshe, Lemor, saying, that's words. You can read the story, but you're going to be missing all the details. You're going to be missing all the underpinnings. So it's possible to read the entire parasha from cover to cover in English and not know what happened. And that's what happens many times when we come to class, and the rabbi will say over a novel idea on the parasha, and you'll say, what do you mean, I never heard that. I read it, it didn't say that. Where was he talking about? Where did he get that from? I'm telling you, the Torah is a limited sefer in the sense that it's written in shorthand. Many of the commentary comes from the second Torah that we have on the bookshelf called the Talmud. And without learning it, you're going to get a skewed interpretation of the Bible. So that's the first rule I tell you today. You must learn Torah with authentic commentators. Rashi, Rambam, Rabbeinu Bachya, the Seforno, the Kliyakar, etc. But today what I want to do is to show you how far we have regressed in Torah scholarship. Which is, we think we have a great generation. Rabbis, kohenim, scholars, classes. But we are so far from the greats of the previous generations. Let me give you an example. The Gemara tells us there was a rabbi called Hillel. I'm sure you heard of Hillel. He's one of the most famous. Hillel, as I can, is correct. Hillel had 80 students. The Gemara tells us his top student was a rabbi called Yonatan ben Uziel. He was so holy, Yonatan ben Uziel, that when he would learn, a fire would come above his head. A pillar of fire would form, that every bird that would fly over his head would roast from the fire of his Torah. We don't know anybody today that learns to have a fire next to them. But when he would study, the Kedusha was so powerful that an aura would be over his head. That was the wisest of all the students of Hillel. As a matter of fact, he's buried today in Israel. You can go visit his grave. It's next to Tiberias. It's in a place called Amuka. It's in a deep valley. And many young women and men who are single that want to get married, they make a trip there. And they pray by his grave. Because he said, the tradition says before he dies, that if you come to my grave and pray, I will secure that you'll get married within the year or imminently. Therefore today, if you go to the grave, there's hundreds of visitors that go flock to the grave of Yonatan ben Uziel. He was the best student. Who was the weakest student? The Gemara says the weakest of the students, or the smallest of the students, was a rabbi called Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. So the Gemara says, well, tell us about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. What was his level? So the Gemara says, he knew Mikra, Mishnah, Gemara, Halachot, Agadot. He knew astronomy. He knew astrology. He knew all the different parables of the Torah. He knew the conversation of demons. That means he conversed with demons, he saw them and he understood them. Sihat Bekalim, he understood the language of trees. When the leaves of a tree would rustle, Rabbi Yochanan would be able to tell you the significance. Sihat Malachei Hasharef, he was able to converse with angels. He knew their language. And most importantly, he was an expert in the most difficult subject of our Torah, the chariot of fire. God has a chariot in heaven, it's called Merkavah. The prophet Yehezkel elaborates about it. Most people have no idea what this chariot is and what it stands for and what it looked like. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was an expert in Maaseh Merkavah. And he was the weakest of the students of Hillel. He was number 80. We can't imagine what Hillel was. If that was the weakest of the students. And look what he knew. There's nothing that he didn't know. As a matter of fact, on his deathbed, when his students, Rabbi Yochanan's students came to him, they saw him crying. They said, Rabbi, why are you crying? You are Amud Haymani. You are the right pillar of our nation. So the rabbis explain, what does it mean, the right pillar? So they say, just like a building has a pillar, so the main pillar that holds up the building is the right pillar. So they're saying, you're the centerpiece of our people. You have nothing to cry about. You accomplished everything. But I heard another interpretation of what the right pillar means. If you notice the Sefer Torah ladies on Simchat Torah, it was all the way at the end. If you notice, the right column of the Torah had all the parchment on it, and the left column was empty. We had finished the entire Torah. When you roll the Torah and finish it, the right column is packed. They were telling him, Rabbi, you're Amud Haymani. You're like the right column of the Sefer Torah. You have amassed the entire Torah in your brain like the right column. You have everything. And he was the weakest of the students of Hillel. And Rabbi Yochanan said, I learned from my rabbi everything. I didn't miss an idea. I studied from him everything he was able to teach me. But then he makes a statement and says, but I was like, and this is his statement, like a dog licking the water from the ocean. No matter how much the dog licks from the ocean, does he make a dent in the ocean? The ocean is still immeasurable. The ocean is still limitless. No matter how much the dog licks, he leaves an ocean behind. Rabbi Yochanan says, no matter what I learned from my Rabbi Hillel, he was the ocean. I just dabbled. I just took a little water from the endless ocean. That's, ladies, one generation. The generation of Hillel to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had students. One of the students was a rabbi named Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanos. The Gemara tells us a story about the greatness of this Rabbi Rabbi Eliezer. It's good that you know these stories. These are famous stories, legends of the Talmud. You must know them. One day there was an argument in the yeshiva, and of course every day the rabbis have debates. Some rabbis say it's permissible, some rabbis say it's forbidden. It's in good spirit. It's not a personal argument, and it's not taken in the wrong light. So they're arguing. So the Rabbi Eliezer says, I'm going to prove you rabbis that I'm right. What are you going to prove us? So he brought him all his logical proofs first. Then he said, now I'm going to show you something. If I'm right, you see that carob tree outside the wall, outside the yeshiva? There was a carob tree. Look out the window, you see the carob tree? There we see it. If I'm right, let the carob tree uproot itself and fly across the street. All of a sudden, the miracle. Now look at the carob tree. Miraculously, it uproots itself like a Scud missile and starts to shoot down the street. Amazing trick. Houdini couldn't do that. The greatest magician wasn't capable. But the rabbis weren't impressed. They said, listen, we don't bring proofs of a carrot tree flying in the street. He says, oh yeah, I'll prove you that I'm right. You see that stream outside the yeshiva? It's flowing downstream. If I'm right, let the current of the stream go backwards. And all of a sudden you had a stream that was flowing for hundreds of years one way. It stopped and started to go backwards. He was able to change the current of the stream. Nobody could do that today. Then he said, if I'm right, let the walls of the yeshiva prove that I'm right. And all of a sudden the walls of the yeshiva started to shake. And they actually started to cave in. And he was saying, you better agree that I'm right. Because if you don't, the walls will keep on, they're going to cave in, they're going to compact us. So the rabbis turned to the walls and said, stop. And out of respect to the rabbis, the wall stopped. But out of respect to the Bnei Eliezer, they didn't go back to their original foundation spot. So the Gemara says, if you go to the yeshiva till today, you'll see the walls are all bent as a result of that debate that the Bnei Eliezer had with the rabbis. The walls are still cockeyed. Then the Bnei Eliezer said, if I'm right, let a heavenly voice come down and affirm that I'm right. And all of a sudden, you hear a voice from heaven. Halacha k'Rabbi Eliezer. This was a student of Rabbi Yochanan. He was able to make open miracles at ease, without any difficulty. Carrot trees flying, streams going upstream, walls caving in, heavenly voices. Who can do this? Nobody can do this today. And this was only the student of Rabbi Yochanan. Who was the student of Hillel? And he said, I learned a lot from my rabbi, Rabbi Yochanan. But he said, I was like a dog that was licking water from the ocean. As much as I learned from Rabbi Yochanan, he was the ocean. The exact same words that Rabbi Yochanan said about his rabbi, Rabbi Elazar ben Urkano said about his rabbi. Who was the student of Rabbi Elazar? Who was his main student? It's a rabbi that you've heard of. The main student of Rabbi Elazar ben Urkanos was Rabbi Akiva. Which is amazing to me. We always think when we say Rabbi Akiva, we think that's it. There's nobody greater than Rabbi Akiva, but Rabbi Akiva had a rabbi. He had a teacher. And we know how great Rabbi Akiva was. To the extent the Gemara says that when Moshe Rabbeinu was about to give the Torah, he told God, there's somebody more worthy than me. I shouldn't be the one to give the Torah to the Jewish nation. So God said, who are you referring to? Moshe says, Rabbi Akiva. God says, you're right. He is worthy to be the one to give the Torah, but I chose you. What impressed Moshe about Rabbi Akiva? I know you're thinking, how did Moshe see Rabbi Akiva? Moshe Rabbeinu was 1,000 years before. He saw in prophecy. He saw the future generations. He says, why are you letting me do it? Let Rabbi Akiva be the one. Because Rabbi Akiva not only used to interpret the words of the Torah, but he interpreted the tagim, the crowns of the Torah. What does it mean, the crowns of the Torah? The next time they take out the Sefer Torah, pay attention closely. On certain letters, there's artistic crowns that are placed on the letters to beautify the Sefer Torah. Instead of just writing it plain, so the calligraphy of the Sefer Torah has on top of it some beautiful crowns. In Hebrew they call them tagim. There are 7 letters that always get crowns. Shin, Ayin, Tet, Nun, Zayin, Gimal, Tzadi. Those letters always get crowns on them. He was able to give interpretation not only to the words of the Torah, but even the crowns, the artistic crowns he was giving Hadushim on. I don't understand what Hadush you can give on a crown. It's a design. He was able to give understanding on things that were beyond interpretation. That was the greatness of Rabbi Akiva. And he lived 120 years. He lived a full life. And he was only a student of Rabbi Eliezer ben Urkanos. Who was Rabbi Akiva's student? Well, Rabbi Akiva had a famous student. His name was Rabbi Meir. I'm sure you heard of Rabbi Meir. Two things about Rabbi Meir that you have to know. Number one, his sister-in-law, who is his wife's sister, was once taken into captivity by the Goyim. She was kidnapped. And the Goyim took her and put her in a house of ill repute. The Chas v'Shalom Zonot. And Rabbi Meir's wife said, "My dear husband, you have to go save my sister." So he said, "I can save her if she's still pure. If she committed Chas v'Shalom promiscuity, I will not be able to save her." So she said, "Okay, go find out, go see." So he dressed up. Rabbi Meir masqueraded himself. Don't ask me how do you hide his beard, how do you cover himself, but he dressed up. And he went to the house of ill repute, and he tells the manager there, "Okay, I want to go in, and I want to go with that girl." That was his sister-in-law. She didn't know it was Rabbi Meir. So he pays certain money, he goes in. And she starts giving excuses. "No, I can't. I don't, I'm not." Excuses. Rabbi Meir understood that she must be giving these excuses to everybody. She remained pure. She did not commit immorality. So Rabbi Meir took off his disguise and said, "I'm Rabbi Meir, your brother-in-law. I came to save you from here. Let's go." So now she's of course excited. They're going to leave. So he goes to the manager, Rabbi Meir, and he gives him some money and says, "Okay, I'm taking her." "What do you mean you're taking her?" "The government comes every day and takes attendance. If one of the girls are missing, I'm responsible. They're going to kill me." So Rabbi Meir says, "Don't worry. When the government comes, and if they give you a hard time, say the following three words and everything will be okay. Elahad Meir aneni. The God of Meir, answer me." So the guard thought he was joking. "What do you mean? The God of Meir answer me and I'll be saved?" Yeah. He thought impossible. So what did the guard do? There was some guard dogs in front of the place. He unleashed the dogs and they started to chase Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir didn't move. He turned to the dogs and said, "Elahad de Meir aneni." The God of Meir, he was Meir. The God of Meir, answer me. Sure enough, the dogs sat down, they kept quiet. So the guard said, "Wow, this really works." And sure enough, he recovered his sister-in-law. When the government officials came to take attendance, they wanted to hang the manager. He turned to them and said, "Elahad de Meir aneni." Finished. They started to run away. They died. They fled. This is the greatness. Just mentioning the names of these rabbis was able to create miracles. So today, the Hakamim tell us if you're in danger, God forbid, or you're in a crisis, say those words, Elahad de Meir aneni. The God of Meir, answer me. Until today, 2,000 years later, it still brings protection and good luck. Hakamim tell us when somebody's in a crisis, let them take money and say, "I'm giving this money to tzedakah in honor of Rabbi Meir." And in that zechut you'll be saved. And they even nicknamed this rabbi, because he always did miracles. So they nicknamed him Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. Rabbi Meir, the man of miracles. And he was a student of Rabbi Akiva. He wasn't Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was light years greater than Rabbi Meir. He was a student of Rabbi Akiva. Could you imagine? I mean, you go out of your mind. What was Hillel? Look at the history I'm giving you. Hillel. Yonatan ben Oziel, the top student. Rabbi Yochanan, the weakest student. Rabbi Yochanan had a student, Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer has a student, Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva has a student, Rabbi Meir. Who was Rabbi Meir's student? One of his students was Rabbi. That's what they called him, Rabbi. Period. One of the most famous rabbis. He's famous because certain rabbis, you don't have to say anything. The rabbi, finished, and you know what you're talking about. That's what he was, Rabbi. Who was he? His full name was Rabbeinu Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda, or they called him also Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the holy rabbi. Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the Gemara tells us he was holy. He never took his hands and placed them beneath his belt. He was Kadosh, he was holy, he was modest. He was a very pious man. But you know what he was responsible for doing? We have a set of books in our library called the Mishnah. He authored the Mishnah. He went and took all the statements of all the rabbis and he put it together in a book. Before the Mishnah existed, all these statements were scattered. A lot of them were going to be lost. A lot of them were just by heart. They were oral. And he came along in a monumental task, a task that only an angel can accomplish. And he redacted the Mishnayot. Rabbeinu HaKadosh, one of the greatest men that ever lived, the Gemara says, never did we see Torah greatness and scholarship and wealth in one generation like Rabbi. He was both a scholar, he was also very wealthy. They compared him to King Solomon. He had the wisdom of Shlomo and the wealth of King Solomon as well. And he was a student of Rabbi Meir. And he says, you know why I'm better than my friends? This is the Rabbeinu HaKadosh talking. He says, I'm better than my friends. I have an advantage. Because I was able to see Rabbi Meir from behind. He writes, and I quote, he says, I am sharper from my friends. Because I saw Rabbi Meir from behind. What was he talking about? When he would sit in the class, it seems he didn't have a good seat. He didn't have a seat where he was able to see the rabbi's face. He sat behind the rabbi. He says, but just looking at the back of Rabbi Meir made me better. Just glancing at the back of his head during the class gave me spiritual advantages. And he says, if I would be able to see Rabbi Meir from the front, forget what it would have done to me. And for me, the Gemara learns how when one goes to a class, you should look at the face of the teacher, because that also brings an interpretation to the Torah. It's not the same when you're just hearing it or you're seeing it. The facial expression, the gestures. But look what Rabbeinu HaKadosh is saying. Just by looking at Rabbi Meir's back made him a better person. Rabbeinu HaKadosh had students. His top student was a rabbi called the Bichiyah. Let me tell you one story about the Bichiyah. I know it's Tuesday. I wish you would remember these stories by Friday so you could tell it to your children on the Friday night table. They should know the story of these great men. How they lived. This was commonplace for these scholars. In the Bet Midrash of the Bichiyah, Eliyahu HaNavi would visit. Eliyahu HaNavi was a regular visitor. He would go visit the Bichiyah, learn with them and talk to the students. One day, it was Rosh Chodesh, and Eliyahu HaNavi was late. He showed up to the Bet Midrash late. The Bichiyah was expecting him. So the Bichiyah says to Eliyahu HaNavi, where were you? What's going on today? You're late. So he says, I was in Hebron. What were you doing in Hebron? Well, I was by the grave of Avraham Avinu. I had to wake him up. I had to make the Netilat Yadayim for him. And after I made the Netilat Yadayim for Avraham, I prayed with him. I know this is a long prayer. And then I had to wake up Yitzhak Avinu and make the Netilat Yadayim and pray with him. And then I had to wake up Yaakov, make the Netilat Yadayim, pray with him. So by the time I finished, it took time. So Nabhaya asks Eliyahu HaNavi, and why couldn't you wake them all up at the same time? Instead of waking them each one individually and praying 3 times with them, wake them up all together and pray together with them. So the Rabbi says, no, you can't. Because we have a secret in the heavens that if Abraham, Yitzhak and Yaakov would be up at the same time and pray at the same time, Mashiach would come. So we're not allowed to have them pray at the same time. So the Rabbi asked another question. He had guts to ask this question. He says, is there anybody alive in our generation that has that power? That if they would pray together, Mashiach would come? So the Navi says, let me tell you a secret. You and your two sons. If you and your two sons would pray together, Mashiach would come. Rabbi heard this. This is very important information. Shortly after that, there was a drought. So, the Rabbi, Rabbi, called a special communal prayer. All the people came to the synagogue, they were fasting, and now they needed a Hazan. So who did he invite to be the Hazan? Rabbi Chaya, his student. Rabbi Chaya says, this is the chance. He calls his two sons, come stand next to me. This is where we get the custom on the high holidays to have 3 Hazanim. Like Rabbi Chaya. He stood at the pulpit with his two sons next to him, and now he said, he's going to pray, Mashiach's going to come. So he started to pray the Amidah. And he says, Mashiva Ruach. Let the winds come, and all of a sudden the winds start flying all over the city. Boom! The thunder starts coming in torrential rain. He just said the words. There was a drought. He said the words, him and his children. All of a sudden God says in the heavens, who spilled the secret? Who told the secret? And all of a sudden they're searching, and they bring Eliyahu and Rabbi in front of God. You told him, him and his sons, that he could pray? And he could bring the Mashiach. This was top secret information. And the Gemara says God started to flog Eliyahu and Navi. He punished him. He said, this was confidential. And God said, if we let him finish that Berachah, the Amidah, and he says, Baruch Atah Hashem Mahayeh HaMetim, God, you resurrect the dead, finish, all the dead are going to be resurrected, and we're going to have to send Mashiach prematurely. You better stop him. He's 3 seconds away from that Berachah. He cannot say it. So Eliyahu Navi had to dress up like a bear, like a wild grizzly bear. And all of a sudden, he enters the Beit Midrash where they're all praying. Everybody sees it goes on. From where did the bear come from? Dangerous. Everybody closed the Siddurim and they ran. And the moment was lost. This is the student of Rabbeinu HaKadosh. Him and his sons, if they would pray, they were able to bring Mashiach. All the rabbis that we mentioned today, ladies, none of them were prophets. David HaMelech was greater than all of them. By light years. King David? What's the question? Moshe Rabbeinu? Hands down. Adam HaRishon? Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov? They were 1,000 years before these men. If we're making such a vast difference between Hillel and his students, between one generation and the other, what do you think the difference is between one generation and 10 generations before? But our problem is, we think that everybody's like us. Yeah, we learn a little, we do some mitzvot, we do averot, regular. So you read a story about David HaMelech, that it says he went with a girl called Bathsheba. So from the Pesukim looks like a, God forbid, an adulterous situation. So you say, yeah, adultery, it happens today, we know people, we heard stories. So we're reading the stories of David HaMelech like we're reading the National Enquirer. God forbid. These stories must be read, first of all, through people that are able to measure these great men. The problem is we're reading it through our simplicity. We're reading it through our experiences. Oh yeah, this happened to this guy. I can understand what it means. You have no idea. It takes great men to size great men. And great women as well. The Gaon of Vilna said, I could understand maybe a little the level of a rabbi of the Talmud. But I cannot understand the shoemaker that lived in the times of the prophets beyond us. A shoemaker that lived in the times of the Nevi'im. The Gaon of Vilna says, well, forget it, different level. And that's a very important lesson. You have to learn it. This is step one before we can even give interpretations. This you have to digest what we're saying. In religion, there's a regression. It gets worse every generation. In secularism, it's the opposite. For example, in technology, we're advancing every generation. We're far more technologically advanced in our generation than 50 years ago. Or how about 10 years ago even? Today if you buy a cell phone, it'll be outdated tomorrow morning. And your computer has to be updated and upgraded every month. The technology is advancing so fast that it can't keep up with itself. That's when it comes to secular. That's when it comes to physical things. Yes, we're growing in that sense. I believe in 50 years from now there won't even be automobiles. Everybody will have a personal helicopter where they can just fly all around. And our grandchildren are going to tell their children, listen, look what Grandpa used to go to work in. They're going to show them a car. Look how backwards they were. A car made out of metal, like a box with rubber wheels. Look at this. These were streets. And they're flying around the sky going to work. Technology advances. Technology is moving up. But when it comes to religion, when it comes to ruhaniyut, it goes the other way. So you have to know that rule, because if you're going to open the Chumash and think you were better than Adam Arishon, or better than Chava, because many people say, Rabbi, if God told me don't eat, I wouldn't have eaten. So it's a no-brainer. Well, God says don't eat. Simple, aleph, don't eat, don't eat. And she ate. She was, she's terrible. What are you talking about? You're talking about the creation of God. Only two people were created ever without parents, Adam and Chava. God was the biological father and mother of these people. When God creates somebody, He creates them with perfection. When we create our children, they're created with imperfection, because we're imperfect. So we give our children all our weaknesses. It's in our genes, so they inherit our short temper, they inherit our nature, our mannerism. Imperfect parents, unfortunately, make imperfect children. Nobody's perfect. But God, who created Adam and Chava, He's perfect. They were perfect. They were born in Gan Eden. They were born in Utopia. How many people do you know after Adam and Chava that were born in Gan Eden? And let me tell you something, ladies. Adam was so holy. The angels thought he was God. The angels said, yeah, there's a God in the heavens. That's God, Hashem. And there's God on the earth. Who's the God on the earth? Adam. So they stood in front of Adam and they started to tell him, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. They started singing the praises in front of Adam. So God said to the angels, no, he's not God. That's how spiritual he was, that he was able to give the impression to the angels that he was only a human being. That's why one of the rabbis explained why God had to give man a wife. Because the angels were so certain that man was God, so God said, let me give him a helper. So they'll know that he can't be God, because God doesn't need any helpers. So once they saw, he has a wife, he can't be God. He's limited. He needs an aid. He needs a companion. Once already you have this introduction, the Arizal says Adam's body, his physical body, was not like ours. It was like a soul. Don't ask me what a soul looks like. But whenever you depict your neshama to be shiny, illuminating, whatever it is, his physical was neshama. So imagine what his neshama was. And Adam's neshama was so powerful, it had in it all the future descendants. He was the mother or the father's soul. From his soul comes all the descendants. Now that you know how great Adam Rishon was, now go learn the story. Why did he eat? What was he thinking? What wasn't he thinking? Why did he do it? But it's not just to be learned over a cup of coffee and some cock and say, he ate, he shouldn't have ate. What a terrible thing. Next, if I was there, I wouldn't have done it. What a mess. You're not giving him the benefit of who he is. It's, imagine if you would hear the greatest rabbi of the generation, we have pictures of him walking out of McDonald's. What would you say? You say, it can't be. The picture's either forged, or if it's not, for sure he went in there because He had a reason. Or would you say, he probably was hungry, he couldn't control himself, he went for a cheeseburger. What are you going to do? Happens to everybody. Especially your chief rabbi, you answer 1,001 reasons what he was doing. Why? Because he was a Sadiq. The great men of the Tanakh, Adam, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, the tribes, these were great men. They were bigger than chief rabbis. They were the masters. Therefore, whenever you read their stories, you have to say, benefit of the doubt. Why? What did they do here? Just like you give the benefit to your parents. If you saw them doing something shady. So certainly they deserve that same courtesy and credit. And the only place where you're going to get the true interpretation of their lives is, as I told you, through the study of the Midrashim, through the study of the Zohar, through the study of the Talmud. And Baruch Hashem, today we have enough books that have been written with those interpretations where you can read it and study it. Today I'm not going to go into, our class is over, I'm not going to go into the details of why and what. Today I laid a foundation. Today I'm trying to convey to you one very important message. If you don't learn anything from me ever again, this is a very important lesson you must learn. Every day we must say, when are my deeds going to reach the deeds of my predecessors? They were light years ahead of us. And as much as we're going to interpret and explain, we're only dabbling. We're only hitting surface. And therefore we must approach these stories with great fear and trepidation. Lest we come too close to the mountain, lest we come too close to the fire and burn ourselves. The stories must be read with a great responsibility, in order that we don't come to, God forbid, distort. Just like you can't distort a law from the Torah, just like it would be blasphemy to take an apple instead of an etrog, or to put your tefillin between your eyes. It would be considered sacrilegious to take these same Pesukim that were written by the same God and not learn them with the same seriousness and the same depth and the same level as all the other Pesukim. And that already, if you can digest this concept and appreciate it, how the scholars of yesteryear had a different magnitude. And then we have to elevate ourselves to try to interpret exactly what they did. Then we can start bringing lessons, what we learned from them, etc. But first we must humble ourselves in front of these giants. Instead of thinking that they're our comrades or they're our associates, we must humble ourselves to their greatness and their amplitude of character. And then, Be'ezat Hashem, we'll be able to plummet the depths of their lives and come out with a garden close to the truth, understanding of exactly what transpired.